Hey guys, we have an important video for you today. It's a little bit heavy, it's a little bit worrisome, but we wanted to share our experience with you.
Yeah, we could have had a fire. It was very real with an electrical situation that we had, and we're going to explain it to you because the truth is this could happen to anyone.
Absolutely, and it's just something you really want to be aware of, whether you're on the road full-time like us or just a weekender. This is really important, so pay close attention. Hey guys, before we tell you about our dangerous power situation, we wanted to quickly share an exciting announcement. We've partnered with eTrailer for an ultimate spring giveaway package worth $396. One lucky winner will receive essential RV protection items, including custom tire covers specific for your RV, security locks for your fifth wheel or travel trailer, so a kingpin lock or a coupler for your travel trailer, a spare tire lock to prevent any kind of theft, heavy-duty ratchet straps with a storage bag. You're going to get 4 ratchet straps, and a massive 8x20 reversible outdoor rug. Personally, this is my favorite part. We have one, and it is keeping our campsite so much cleaner. No purchase is necessary. It's U.S. residents only. We're going to draw at the end of April 2025. You can enter at likethere'snotomorrow.net, scan the QR code on screen, or check the description and I'll have the link for you there.
If you're not familiar with us, we're Barry and Darlene. This is our channel, Like There's No Tomorrow, and we have a 44-foot toy hauler that's 50 amp, and we happen to be parked here at a campground in Florida. We've been here for 3 months, which is the first time for us. We've been on the road full time for about 2.5 years. We decided we wanted to take a little winter break, so we just been staying here for 3 months. So basically what happened is we needed a repair on the rig. So we had to be gone for about 2 days. So we left, packed up everything as normal, and went and did our thing. And then we came back, and when we pulled back into the spot, I just went in and, hooked everything up as I normally would do. So the way I normally would do it is I would take our PowerWatchdog and I would put it into the pedestal first, unplugged, and I would flip on the 50 amp breaker. And if I got a message on here saying that there was a problem, then that, and that's the proper procedure. At least that's what we've been trained to do anyway. And so I did that, and sure enough, there was a warning. And so immediately I thought, well, maybe something happened at the RV park while we were gone for the last couple days, or maybe there's some kind of electrical issue here that I don't know about. So I actually called over. They have a great maintenance crew here, and they're very responsive. So they came over and they tested the line. And they basically came to the conclusion, no, there's definitely not something wrong with the pedestal. So let's go ahead and check your connections. So they started with the PowerWatchdog, and they basically determined that they said, hey, it looks like you have a problem with your PowerWatchdog. And sure enough, like all 3 of us looked at it at once, and we happened to notice this little burn mark right here. If you can see that, it's not huge, but it's definitely there. And I thought, oh, great. These things are not exactly cheap, but helped us avoid a big issue. Well, so it was getting late. There really wasn't much we could do from a surge protector standpoint. So I thought, okay, I'll just plug straight into the pedestal and, plug into the RV. The night wore on, and at around 9 o'clock that night, about 3-4 hours later, our power started going off and on. Now we do have a solar setup. We have a Victron setup in our RV. And so when the power goes off on the inside, we know it because there's a little alarm that happens on our Victron system, basically telling us that we just lost shore power and now it's going on to the battery power. I thought, well, that's strange. But of course, I immediately thought, okay, there must be something going on here at the pedestal. And so we came out here, and I didn't really understand what it could be, other than obviously there's something going on with the electrical. So I went ahead and I turned off the 50 amp power and I unplugged everything. So Darlene and I both work from the RV full time. And so we would normally be very concerned. Obviously, if you don't have electricity, you can't work. Well, thankfully, because we do have the solar setup and we do have a good, nice battery bank, we weren't really worried about losing power, although we do happen to be under a couple very large trees. And so we knew our solar power probably wasn't going to replenish itself all that well because it's blocking our panels. But anyway, so we had a full battery bank. So the next day, I just kind of casually came out and thought, well, I need to look at this power situation to try to figure out what's going on. And I happened to look at the cable. Now, I have since cut the top off, and in a minute I'll tell you why I did that. And then I happened to notice this. Sure enough, it was the where it was plugged into the PowerWatchdog. Now, I feel dumb at this point because why didn't I look at this part? Although, to be honest, I'm not sure if I would have looked at that and immediately thought, oh, that's a burn. That's a burn mark. That's a terrible sign. I should not proceed at all with plugging this into my RV. Live and learn, right? I almost learned a very hard lesson. So my immediate thought was, okay, we're not very far from an RV supplier. So Darlene ran down there and she grabbed one of these. So I thought, sure, if it's literally just that part that's the problem, that's all burned up, I'll just replace it with one of these. So that night, I went in and again, we were running on solar power, so I wasn't super stressed about it, but our batteries were getting really low. So I get off work 5 o'clock, immediately go working on the cable because by that point our batteries are down to about 25%. I'm thinking I've got to get this cable fixed, but I thought I could just replace the head of it. Well, I took it apart, doing all the cabling, did a really fine job of stripping all the cables, doing all that, and I happened to see this. Look at that. Now, when I first stripped it down, I was just trying to strip down to the ends, and then I kept pulling away the insulation and noticed, now it's not the only one. Look at this. I haven't pulled it all back yet, but you could see how burned that is. So it's basically burned on 3 of these. So this one, you could see here with the red, for whatever reason, this one did not get burned. I'm sure an electrician could tell me why, but this is really what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be copper, right? If you compare these two. And so that's why I thought, well, maybe I'll get lucky. And I started stripping this down and pulling it down and trying to see how far down does this burn go, and it just kept going. So I thought to myself, okay, this cable is obviously burned up. I cannot use it. It is a total safety hazard. So what do? Then I remembered I had an extension cable for our 50 amp. Now, the problem is that 50 amp cable did not have our smart plug end on it. See, we couldn't, and oh, you might think to yourself, well, if you were in a bind, why wouldn't you just borrow a 50 amp cable from the RV park? Because they did offer. This is the problem. Okay, so if you're not familiar with this product, it's fantastic. Just as an aside, when a lot of RVs, especially if you're a full-time RVer, you're putting more wear and tear on your RV than normal people would. The regular sort of cheap sort of plastic that these come with, these outlets, it started to wear out about 1.5 years or so into our journey. And so I thought, well, rather than buy another one of those, I bought the smart plug. And the thing is, it holds that connection super tight. So it's, as you can see, it's just locked in. It's a great product. If you're interested in this, I would definitely highly recommend it. So you can pick up one of these at eTrailer if you want to buy just the head and put it onto an existing cable that you have and just replace it on your existing cable. Or they do have entire cables that have the smart plug already installed, but of course then it does require you having to put in a new input. If you are interested in this, I do have an installation video when I originally installed this where I do the entire install. I replace it on our existing cable and then I install the whole thing. So that's there on our channel. Just go check it out. Now, so back to the night in question. So what I did is I ended up having to cut this end off of that cable. So I took my 50 amp extension cable that I had and I ended up having to cut the ends off of that. And I put this on here, or just the one end, put that on there and then plug it straight into the pedestal. And I solved our immediate problem of at least being able to get a safe power even though we didn't have a surge protector. Hey, before we go any further in the video, we want to thank eTrailer, who are our new sponsors and they're sponsoring this video. And let's just talk about eTrailer for a second, okay? So the reason that we love eTrailer is because they have not just an incredible inventory of things that you're going to need when you're on the road, but also they have the technical expertise and they actually answer questions, not just on the phone, but they have an incredible amount of tools that you can use in order to make sure that you're getting the right things for your RV. Let me give you an example. How many of, if any of you have been full-time RVing or part-time RVing, you know that there's lots of things when it comes to buying hitches, suspension, you know, anything that involves trailers and towing and all that. You have to make sure that you get the right parts for your truck, for your RV, for everything that you have. And what's the one thing that'll drive you nuts is if you get the wrong thing, right? Have you ever ordered something really big that cost maybe a lot of money to ship to you, and then you get it and you think it's going to fit and then it doesn't fit right? It's absolutely frustrating. So the thing that eTrailer really specializes in is customer service and making sure that you get the right part for your particular situation and get it right the first time. And then they also have, I mean, they have tons of videos on YouTube and everything where you can actually go and you'll look to see how to install things, how things work, get your questions answered, because a lot of us, we don't know these things. I know I certainly didn't when it came to all this stuff in the very beginning. So eTrailer is an invaluable resource of information, and you can all get it all in one stop. No sense in going and buying individual things from individual manufacturers. You can get it all at one place. So if you're not familiar with eTrailer, I'd encourage you, just go check out their website. You'll be amazed at the amount of stuff that they have, not just for towing and trailers and all things like that, but they've got, I mean, for the electrical, they cover an immense amount of stuff that you can get for RVs that you're going to need when you're out there. And again, the technical expertise to back it up. So go check out their website right now. It's eTrailer.com. So we went ahead and talked to the folks at eTrailer, and we determined that this is definitely still what we need. The best surge protector is the PowerWatchdog for sure. And then we went ahead and got the full SuperFlex 50, which is the 50 amp cable from SmartPlug. So I don't have to go and reinstall the plug and do all that kind of stuff again. I can just plug it straight in. Okay, about the PowerWatchdog. It does have a lifetime warranty. I don't know the details of it, so we're going to research it a little bit more, and if the situation that we had would fall under warranty, we'll certainly deal with the paperwork on all that and get it done, but we still needed a surge protector. We do not like having our RV sit here without a surge protector on it, so we just needed to get one and get it here. Unbox it, and I'm going to plug it in. Oh. Okay, one thing about the Hughes PowerWatchdog is that it does have an app that you can easily download onto your phone. Every one of their units has a QR code. You simply scan the code and bring up the app. It's available on all the app stores, and then it will automatically put your unit in there, and you just need to name your unit. So it's super easy to use, but it basically just tells you about your power consumption, and then more importantly, that if there's an issue, it's going to give you a more detailed reading of what the issue is and how you can possibly fix it. I can tell you right now, that is a heavy cable. This is a serious cable.
That is much more aesthetically pleasing to look at than the orange thing that we have now.
See? Well, if nothing else there.
Because that's priority.
SmartPlug, at least Darlene likes your color scheme, if nothing else. I'm not exactly sure what this is.
It's kind of the same way.
This is clever. So you could ever have one of these cables where they're bare to pull out. That's what that's for.
Oh.
Very clever. All right, time for the moment of truth.
Or you just want me to edit it?
No, it's fine. Okay, so while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and spray some contact cleaner in there. Because I can already see a little dirt. Yeah.
Keep it clean, man.
Clean it up. Okay, I'm going to spray a little contact cleaner on here. You can get this stuff anywhere, any hardware store. All right. So the smart plug is really smart. It actually has an indicator light on it that will light up, that will tell you if you have an issue. So it's kind of like double protection with your surge protector. So it's okay to proceed if it's blue. If it's blue and red like that, then you've got an issue with, I won't go into all the details, but basically if you see anything other than blue, you got a problem. So just a nice little extra added layer of protection. Okay, the thing that we really like about the PowerWatchdog is it's super easy to use. So basically you plug it in, then you turn on the 50 amp, and if it's white, you're good. If it turns red, you're bad.
They have 30 amps too, right?
Yes, they do have a 30 amp. I'm just going to plug that in there, flip it on.
Dun, dun, dun.
we're good. You hear that little pop? That's how you're waiting for the power to actually come on. So I'm going to turn this off, then I'm going to plug my cable into it. Now, I got to say, I've been carrying a lot of these large power cables of late, and this is the heaviest, for sure. This is a heavy-duty cable. I'll probably make fun of me for this. I'm not quite sure what's the best way to do this. So watch that, it'll just pop. Look at that.
Look how much better it looks without being orange.
Bam. Okay, we'll see what happens with the light. I'm going to plug this in. Oh, all right, well, that's it, folks. Oh, no, you got to be kidding me.
It's red. Oh, my gosh.
Hey, guys. Barry from the future here. So, you'll happen to have noticed where we cut the video off there. So, we had an E2 warning on our brand new PowerWatchdog, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. So let's try to back it up and see if I can figure this out. But here, let me show you the solution that I came up with over time. Notice that we're not even plugged into this pedestal. We had to plug in to the neighboring pedestal because the neighboring pedestal did not give me the E2 warning. So the conclusion that I came to, and I won't bore you with all the details, but basically I came in and tested this with a multimeter. Actually had to go buy a new one because the one that we had, the little probe things wouldn't fit in the holes. But so tested this over and over, and it shows to be fine, which I could make no sense of because then I would put the PowerWatchdog in there and it would give me the warning again. So all I could think was that maybe when the PowerWatchdog, maybe it, or even just a cable plugged straight in, the weight that it puts on the output was maybe causing a short, and that was causing the issue, because that's all I could figure. Because when I can put it on the neighboring pedestal and bring it over here and everything's just fine, there has to be an issue with this pedestal, even though it gives me good ratings on the multimeter. Logical sense? Well, so, and the other thing too, here's the other thing, is that we actually had, so I thought, okay, maybe there's something up with this PowerWatchdog. I don't know. So we just plug the cable straight in. So I happened to notice that when I went in and looked at my Victron panel, my solar, which is our panel for our solar, that the L2, because you have two lines of electric basically coming in to a 50 amp RV, line 1 or L1 and L2. My L2 was reading at 0, which should not have been the case. And so I thought there's absolutely something going on here. In fact, I ended up taking off the smart plug, this input. I thought maybe, God forbid, that our cable on the inside of the RV might have been burned up, or that something might have happened to the input, the jack, and there was nothing wrong. I mean, it was dirty. So I went ahead and I just cleaned that up really well, looked at the cables. All of them were gleaming copper, bright copper. So that made me feel a lot better. So I know that this is fine. So really the takeaway here is that sometimes these problems, it's not readily apparent. In fact, I actually had guys from the RV park, when this problem originally happened, that's the first thing they did. They went in with the multimeter, they tested it, they said there's nothing wrong with this pedestal. But obviously there's something wrong. So this is our temporary solution. I feel good about it, and they're going to come out on Monday morning and they're going to try to figure out what's going on with this pedestal.
Okay, so having said that story, let's talk about how serious this could have been, because
yeah, it's really dangerous.
It really is. So we did some investigating, kind of fed into AI what our situation was, and it came up with some really good information that kind of blew my mind. Okay, so the first one is the temperature estimation. So having that wire black made us really take note. When electrical connections fail like this, temperatures can easily reach 500 to 700 degrees. So copper wire melts around 250 to 300. The blackened copper indicates the temperature was likely past 400 degrees. That's crazy, y'all. So you can see how, things like this, and we're going to talk about some of the reasons this could have happened. Hold tight. But just the danger of it. I think most of us, especially us being new to RVing when we got on the road, we didn't understand how this could be a danger. So let's keep going. Let's talk about the fire hazard.
Okay, so the temperature is well above the ignition point of many RV materials, including plastics, fabric, wood, you name it. A sustained electrical arc, and we think that's probably what happened, can reach temperatures of 3,000 to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my gosh.
So we talked to the folks at eTrailer, and they gave us two reasons. Now, one I suspected was probably the case, which was an arc. Now, an arc can happen when you don't have good, solid connections. Now, the other thing that eTrailer told us that I had never heard before, and it never even occurred to me, and maybe this is more the reason. They said that with full-time RVers, you're using these cables a lot more than other, kind of part-time or weekend warrior RVers. And when anytime you unplug and plug in these cables, it causes heat. And so it said it's best to replace these cables maybe every 2 or 3 years. Again, I had never heard that before. So I thought, wow, okay. Well, I mean, because that cable I think might have been maybe 1.5 to 2 years old. So maybe that was the issue. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what could have happened. Maybe it wouldn't have burned our RV down, God forbid. But it could still have caused a lot of damage.
Yeah. So we were doing the research, and it could have damaged or destroyed, which is terrifying, RV power distribution systems, the appliances, the electronics, the battery systems. That would be heartbreaking. Wiring throughout the RV. I mean, it's really a big deal that we caught it when we did. And because you can tell it can do a lot of damage.
Yeah. So I guess what are the takeaways here? If you're watching this, hopefully it's making you think maybe I should go check my connections. Bingo. There you go.
So it's definitely worth taking that extra step to make sure your equipment is in good working order, or replace it if it's really old.
Now let's talk about the surge protector. You may be thinking, well, shouldn't the surge protector have caught that? Not necessarily.
It wasn't a surge.
No, it wasn't. And in fact, we are huge believers in surge protectors, even though it was painful to have to replace it. I mean, having a surge, too much power at once or not enough power at once, more of a brownout type of situation, that can absolutely happen at RV parks. It can happen anywhere.
Yeah.
And so to have a surge protector that's going to protect you and just at the very least just tell you something's wrong, that's what happened here. Yeah. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have a surge protector, I would have just plugged my cable in, wouldn't have gave it much thought. Who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
Okay, here's what actually happened. Just so you're wondering, this is actually in the future because the video that we'd originally filmed for this didn't turn out. So we're doing this again. So anyway, so this is what actually happened at the campground that burned up all our stuff. So they came, and there was a problem with the pedestal, and the problem is that, and we're just showing you by example, that deep into this, in fact, this looks kind of similar, we notice that this 50 amp outlet, the actual metal that attaches to the plug was kind of seated way back into the plug. And so when the mechanic came out, or the guy from the campground came out and replaced everything, he made sure that he had a plug where you could clearly see the metal right there. And so whenever I put the surge protector in there, it was a really tight fit. So yeah, so that seemed to solve the problem. We were all good. But yeah, so that's just an example of how this stuff can happen. I think the weight from the surge protector was just enough to kind of pull away from that plug, and it caused that arc and caused all those problems. So there you go. So thanks for watching this video. I hope that you got something from it. If nothing else, just be careful with this stuff. And if you feel like something's not quite right, just err on the safe side, because it could be an expensive fix or it could be a disastrous situation. We don't want that to happen to you. See you next time. Thanks for watching.